Hi there guys, welcome to this video. So today I wanted to talk about power building, which is in my opinion a great way to build muscle quickly. So I really want to point out what I've seen working on natural bodybuilders, good natural bodybuilders over the years. And most bodybuilders actually focus on little things in my opinion and forget to focus on the basics. And power building really sticks to this approach. So what is power building, power bodybuilding, however you want to call it? Well, basically this is a mix of powerlifting and bodybuilding. It's basically mixing strength and hypertrophy training together. These are basically lifters who want to get as strong as possible while being as muscly as possible. They're trying to get as much muscle as possible and as strong as possible. And in my opinion, the word power building shouldn't really exist, and I'm going to explain you why. Because in my opinion, any goal for the bodybuilder is to actually get bigger and stronger, because the strength you build helps you building muscle if you use it the right way. So in my opinion, any good bodybuilder in definition is a power builder. Basically, the power builder is trying to gain strength and as well hit hypertrophy training. And hypertrophy training is usually what we define as building muscle. And so by definition, you want to basically get stronger on the rep ranges that you use for hypertrophy. And for this, sometimes you have to include some strength training in your programs. We usually tell beginners to include some compound movements in their trainings and to build strength with them, and then on isolation movements to perform the hypertrophy training, do higher reps. And overall, then on their isolation movements, they also get stronger because they get stronger on their compound movements, and so they get bigger when they perform the hypertrophy training on the isolation movements, because they always get stronger on their isolation movement meant to build a muscle. What you have to understand in building muscle is that you have to just simply get stronger on rep schemes which allow to build muscle, which is hypertrophy training. And for this, usually what you have to do is mix both strength and hypertrophy training. Just doing hypertrophy training, you can also improve with the right dieting, bulking, and training hard. But I do think that if you implement some strength training, it will be even easier to get stronger faster, and so to build muscle faster by implementing the hypertrophy training with the strength acquired. So one really famous person that we have in the industry known for power building is Michael Hearn. So I'm not going to tell you here that Michael Hearn is natural, but this is not the subject of the video. I just want to tell you that basically he's known for power building, and you will often see him doing maxes, going for strength quite often, but also do hypertrophy training. He mixes both of these, and it really works well for him, even though he's probably enhanced. That works well, and he's got a very nice, proportional and developed physique. So in my opinion, why do power building exist, the word power building? Well, because bodybuilding is kind of losing its definition. This is why now there is power building coming in. But a good bodybuilder, in my opinion, should be a power builder, where he doesn't forget to do strength and hypertrophy training at the same time. We kind of lose the definition of bodybuilding when, for example, in the industry, we have more people than before using performance-enhancing drugs, and sometimes, in some cases, some people can improve just by going very light and not really seeking progression, because they're responding well to the drugs and they got a great physique without having to do this progressive overload type of training. And so they're not really looking to get stronger. And so then, bodybuilding has become basically this thing that, you never lift, where we say you never need to start lifting a bit heavier and start implementing strength in your program. But in my opinion, this is a mistake. And so again, a power builder, in my opinion, is actually a good bodybuilder who knows how to build muscle. So what are the main benefits of power building? Like I said, first, you're simply doing what's best to build muscle by understanding it is pointless to only do a high volume type of training if the weight loss doesn't increase over time. By doing power building, you also teach yourself to do the right movements. If you're implementing some strength training like powerlifters do, usually you will want to learn how to bench the right way, how to squat the right way, how to deadlift the right way. And so this is interesting to start implementing some strength compound movements in your sessions, because of course you don't have to try to have the perfect arch, the perfect position, etc. But because you don't just want to be a powerlifter, but you'll still go through these learning phases where you actually try to position yourself the right way, etc. So who is power building for? Well, anyone getting started in the gym, I would recommend them to actually do power bodybuilding. Now, of course, sometimes it's a bit different for some people. Some people will be injured, others won't really want to go for heavy stuff, and I think you can still improve with high reps, to be honest with you. So my example here is that improving on high reps can be interesting in a way that If we ask you to go from 18 reps to 20 reps on a certain movement at a certain load, well, 18 reps out of 20 is a very small percentage. It's only 2 out of 20 that you need to get more. Whether when we ask you to go from a 2 repetition max to 3 repetition max, this is like asking you to have 30% of what your maximum repetitions are. This is basically asking you, not a very small percentage here, but like 30% of your energy basically to go from 2 to 3 repetition max. So improving on high reps is possible. I just think that by mixing strength training and hypertrophy training, you will go faster towards building muscle than only sticking to high rep scheme. But it's not impossible to improve. And then if you go really more advanced, there will be intensification training techniques that you can use to actually make the weights that are quite light heavy, to make them feel heavy so you can build muscle. So I think there is always an alternative basically if you're injured, or like there will always be something that you can do. But now the most efficient way, the most practical way is probably to mix strength training and hypertrophy training. So what kind of body shape will you get from practicing power building? So in the gyms, usually something that's quite annoying, to be honest with you, is that nowadays there are the stereotypes that a bodybuilder basically who bulks up won't have good aesthetics. He doesn't, he's not doing bodybuilding, but there will be phases where you don't look your best. And so if you're bulking up a bit and you get a bit more puffy, then this is normal. And most people will basically think a bodybuilder bulking up is a powerlifter just because he lifts heavy weights and that he looks a bit puffy. But this is not the truth. I think powerlifters, if they cut down, yes, they won't really look as good because they're not really training their biceps, they're not really training their arms. There are muscles that they're not really training because it's not their goals, they're just focusing on 3 movements. Whether bodybuilder, when they bulk up, everything gets bigger, and so once they shred down, they will actually look very good. And so again, like I said, power building, in my opinion, is just a power builder is just a good bodybuilder, in my opinion. So if you do power building, you will be good once you shred down and you'll have an aesthetic look. So don't believe that if you bulk up a bit and that your muscles are being hidden, it doesn't mean that you won't look good under it. So how do you perform power building? Well, classic power building, in my opinion, is basically, like I said, mixing powerlifting movements with bodybuilding movements. It's basically doing some strength training in your hypertrophy training, so implementing some powerlifting basically on the compound movements. The compound movements are really the basics basically of power building, where you will do some compounds and then do some isolation movements. But me, I want to push it a bit further. If you're more advanced, you can also try to do more of strength training and lower rep schemes on isolation movements as well. So this is what I did a lot. What I would actually do is do a lot of sets to get a lot of volume in, but then do low reps. So I would do, for example, an incline curls, sets of 5, but I would do like 10 sets or stuff like this. So basically I get a lot of volume, I still get the hypertrophy training, but I stick to low rep scheme, so it's a bit more advanced. And so as you get bigger, etc., you can actually get more experience and actually get to know what's working more. Also, when doing pretty low reps on isolation movements, you still have to be careful and warm up enough. You don't want to overstretch a muscle, and you want to be careful with this, but this is pretty effective in my opinion. It's more interesting in my opinion to do 10 times 5 than to do 5 times 10. So are there cases where you shouldn't practice power building? In my opinion, everyone should probably practice power building, mixing strength, hypertrophy training. But honestly, if you don't want to do squats for any reason, if you don't want to do deadlift because your back hurts, etc., there is always an alternative. You don't need deadlift to get a big back. Rowings are perfectly fine. You can also do some strength training with rowings and go for 6 reps and stuff, and lower reps basically, and increase strength there. So no indispensable exercise. You don't have to exactly stick to the thing just because it says so in the books. So now I wanted to give you an example of a power building program, and this example will be basically for intermediate people to advanced people. So this will be a 5 times a week split routine where I mix both strength and hypertrophy training. So on Monday you do chest and shoulders, you do bench press 5x5, and then you do dips 4x6, and the last set of dips 10 to 15 reps. Upper chest flies where you do 2 times 6 to 8 reps, and then you do 2 times 10 to 15 reps. Overhead press 4 times 6 to 8 reps, and 1 time 10 to 15 reps. And lateral raises, where it's really more the hypertrophy training here, where you try to blast it, it's 5 times 15 to 20 reps. On Tuesday you do arms, you do preacher curls 4 times 6, and then the last set 10 to 12, and then hammer grip pull-ups where you do 4 times 6 to 8. Then incline curls, you do 3 times 6 to 8 reps, and then one last set where you do 12 to 20. So as you can see, you're really mixing hypertrophy training and strength training. And here, you know, you can have the choice to do the strength training at the start and then do hypertrophy training at the end, or you can also do, you know, more sets of strength training and one last set of hypertrophy training within the same exercise. We're just mixing both of these basically. Then on Wednesday you rest, or you can do abs if you want. You do heavy crunches, 8 times, you know, 6 to 8 reps if you really want to get abs, and you know, put some load on yourself to build thick abs. We're not just doing body weight abs where you're not trying to seek progression. And lateral crunches 4 times 15 to 20. Then on Thursday you can do chest, where you do bench press, you do 8 times 3 and 1 time 10 to 15 reps. On dips you can do 4 times 10 to 15 reps, and then on cable flies 3 times 20 to 25 reps. On Friday, back and shoulders, deadlift 5x5, you can do seal rows 3 times 8 to 10, and then 1 time 15 pull-ups pronated grip, 3 times 6 to 8 reps, and then overhead press for the shoulders 5 times by 5x5, rear delts, raises 3 times 20 to 25 reps. Then you rest on Saturday, and then on Sunday you do legs, where you do 6 times 3 on the squats, and then 2 last sets where you do 10 times. When you do 2 times 15 to 15 reps, then you do Bulgarian split squats, 3 times 10 to 12, and 1 time 15 to 20. Romanian deadlift 3 times 10 to 15, and then calf raises on the Smith machine, 3 times 10 to 12, where you really try to build some strength also on your calves, and then go a bit lighter, 2 times 25 to 30 reps. Really go for the hypertrophy training there. Now, if you're a beginner and you want to do some power building, implement some strength training, well, do less volume than this. I gave this, you know, for an advanced lifter, more advanced lifter, so you can probably take that much volume, but obviously if you're a beginner, start slowly and increase over time. It's better to start slowly, not take risk, and increase over time. So yeah, that was it for the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.